Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Balmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this football Friday. And fired up to be here. Presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp each and every Friday. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com in 15 minutes talking LSU and Grambling. We have our first NFL tiers list of the year. NFL back in action, well, last night, but certainly in full force coming up on Sunday. Saints welcoming in to the Superdome their first opponent of the season. We'll talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans coming up at the end of this hour. Got my picks against the spread for the Southeastern Conference. A little bit of a bigger weekend outside of LSU this weekend, so excited to get into all that. And we're going to get you ready for LSU and Grambling. Brian Kelly had a couple different media availabilities yesterday, met with the press, and his final availability in terms of a press conference, and had his coach's show last night. And he spoke to what this game means for college football tradition in the state of Louisiana.
I think it speaks to the proud tradition of college football in the state of Louisiana. You know, to have, a national championship team in LSU and another championship team at the FBS level in Grambling, and the great history of Grambling. For those two teams playing in the state of Louisiana, I think it says a lot about, the state of football in Louisiana. You can argue about all the different rivalries, in-state rivalries. To have all of that in the state of Louisiana, you feel a sense of pride when it comes to college football in the state of Louisiana.
I think there is something to be said for that. I think that LSU playing Southern last year was cool for the city of Baton Rouge. I've now lived here as long as I lived in Shreveport. And I understand how important Southern is to a segment of Baton Rouge. And I know how important LSU is to a lot of people in Baton Rouge. And to bring those two together, despite the ridiculous traffic that it created, was a cool thing one time. And if you're going to play Southern, I think playing Grambling is just fine. If I had it my way, you'd probably stay away from the FCS teams. That includes McNeese. That includes Northwestern State. That includes Nichols, who you'll see here next year. I think that's just too drastic. I'd rather keep those games to Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Lafayette. Going to play Tulane. It's okay to do it once, but I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke today and tell you about what a great opportunity this is for LSU's football team on the field. I alluded to this a little bit earlier, that you can't draw anything from passing game efficiency, run game efficiency, pass rush, coverage skills. You can't draw anything positive from this game against Grambling. It's too drastic a talent discrepancy. It's just too big. However, I will tell you, as I said yesterday, that this is an okay spot for LSU's psyche, and it's in their coaching staff. I was in the building earlier this morning, did my assistant coach interview. Joe Sloan will be on the pregame show coming up tomorrow, and had a conversation in the building just about, hey, this is something that's going to be off the record because it's not something that you would put out in the media. But I was talking to somebody over there, and I said, what do you think about this spot? Tough week last week. You're going to be able to get some new guys in. I was listening to BK on the coach's show, and he had some things to say about guys that you'll see in the game. And he said, these games are important. I think it's important for the guys to go out and have some fun. I think it's important for the guys, some new guys, to go out there and play and get their first action. Like, these games are important in the course of a college football season. And you may not agree with that. And I shared that, hey, I don't have to pay for season tickets. Okay? I don't. I walk in for free. I'm honored to work with the LSU Sports Radio Network. It's a dream of mine, and I understand that one of the perks of that job, and I don't get to tailgate, I don't get to go to road games. I mean, there are some drawbacks to it, but one of the pros is I don't have to spend money on tickets. And I know that there are lots of you, thousands of you listening that do. that don't really want to watch 62-7. And that I totally understand. And I can't quite relate to that because I don't spend my hard-earned money like you do on it. But just from a football perspective, I do think there's a little bit of value in the guys going out there and just having some fun and going to get a win. Even though, as I said, I don't think there's a lot that we, the fans and the media that cover the team, can draw from it. One thing that we can draw is personnel decisions. And Brian Kelly, very candidly last night, gave you one about Lance Hurd.
The plan is to get him in, certainly, with the first unit and see how that mix goes as well. And look, I think part of it was, to take an offensive tackle going against Florida State's defensive ends didn't seem to be the smartest thing to do in week one. But I think in week two, I think this is a good opportunity to get him in and give him an opportunity to play a little bit. So excited about getting a chance to see him play.
This is exactly what we're talking about here. Exactly. Lance Hurd may be the second best tackle on your team. He might be. But it's not wise. That was a road game last week. That was a flat road game. You can call it neutral site all you want. It was a flat road game. Last year in New Orleans, neutral site. That game Sunday, road game. Putting a true freshman out there with the possibility of Jared Verse lining up across him, not a good idea. You go with it with the safer play there with Emory Jones. You go with Miles Frazier. You go with Garrett Dellinger. And you play the game that way. In this game, Lance Hurd jumps off sides. Lance Hurd gets a holding penalty. He doesn't hear the snap count, is late firing off and gets beat. Doesn't matter. Let him go play. And we could see this one coming a mile away, right? Because you saw it in the scrimmage. We're out there, the media's there, and you look up and go, oh, Lance Hurd's playing, and they kicked Emory Jones down. That's real-life information we can pull, and that's coming. I don't know if it's going to be in Starkville or not, and this is going to be the dress rehearsal for it. He better be damn good against Grambling. And when I say not even a lick of penetration against an FCS team. But it's something that we're going to be able to look at. And so Kelly elaborated on Lance Hurd and how he compares or contrasts with Emory Jones.
They're a little bit different in the sense that, Emory is a much more suited to probably play multiple positions when he moves on. A guy that could play center, guard, probably get you out of trouble playing tackle at the next level. Lance is a tackle with his length. So they're a little bit different, but I would say that they're very similar in terms of their demeanor, the way they approach things on a day-to-day basis. They're great workers. They're great in the classroom. They take their work very seriously. So I think that there's a lot of traits that are similar that allow freshmen to compete for starting positions. And he's got that kind of makeup. But I think in terms of the physical traits that they bring, there is a little bit of a difference between the two.
LSU's offensive line has to play significantly better next week in Starkville. Mississippi State's got a veteran defense. They're going to start 10 seniors on defense next week when LSU goes there. And if LSU's totally unable to get a yard on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or 4th and goal, and they're totally unable to establish any kind of ground game with the running backs, they're going to get beat next week. They got to find something on the offense. And if it means Lance Hurd at right tackle and Emory Jones at right guard and moving Miles Frazier out of the game, then that's what it's going to be. But they got to find something. And you've got, from the time you walked off the field in Orlando, 2 weeks to get it done. We're at the halfway point of that. And tomorrow we will see a new look LSU offensive line. Now, once again, you can't tell much positive from playing Grambling. But the coaches will evaluate it. You'll understand how Emory Jones handles guard, and you'll understand how Lance Hurd handles tackle from a communication standpoint, making sure they're in the right place, making sure they can hear the snap count and the call, making sure that they can go out there and work together. But knocking Grambling's 270-pound defensive tackle out of the way, whatever. It's probably what practice is for against the scout team. It's got some of your freshmen on it. But it's a real time change that you can see that may benefit LSU in the long run. Again, they hand the ball off to Logan Diggs and Noah Kane, and they go for 297 yards on the ground. That's not going to bring me into the post-game show after that game and go, well, Mississippi State's in big trouble. This running game is cooking. That's not how that works. But you're going to see a difference on the offensive line, and that was the biggest takeaway from this week thus far in terms of press conferences. Not the psyche of the team, the demeanor, not how well they practice or the energy level or any of that kind of stuff. It's, okay, you determine that you're going to make a change in the starting lineup at some point with Lance Hurd. Now, I did ask earlier today if the expectation is that Lance Hurd will start the game. Right now, that is probably not the expectation. That could certainly change. We've got 30 hours to kick off here, so you may see something different when they do decide to kick it off. But I think you're going to see Emory Jones start at right tackle, and maybe later in the first quarter see the big freshman come in at tackle, and that'll certainly be something to take note of. We still got a lot of Brian Kelly sound that we'll get to throughout the course of our show today. Still got to talk about the Saints and Titans. Still got to talk about NFL opening weekend. And when we come back, we're going to chat with Preston Guy of TigerBait.com about what he's looking for when LSU plays Grambling. Want to remind you, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are looking for the ultimate tailgate. Snap a pic of your setup and upload it to 104.5ESPN.com for a chance to win a $500 Rouse's gift card. Our judges will select a winner September 29th. It's the ultimate tailgate giveaway from Rouse's Markets, Citizens Bank and Trust, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Preston Guy when we come back.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always love telling you about our folks over at FanDuel, and you know it, NFL is underway. So get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5, only $5, you'll get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home in Baton Rouge. I'm ready what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of Front to Back Boat Service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Week 2 in the prep football season gets started tonight with Louisiana Prep Preview at 6, followed by Catholic High and Warren Easton kicking off at 7, and we wrap up the night with Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care. On YouTube, Your View and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Every Friday at 1:15, we head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, chat with our guy, Preston Guy from TigerBait.com. Preston, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Hunt?
Just working through another Friday here, getting ready for the home opener, as we know. But let's go back to last Sunday before we move forward. What was LSU's biggest issue on the field in Orlando?
I mean, you have to argue on the defensive side, it's the defensive backs, inability to cover and tackle. On the offensive side, there were a number of things that went wrong. I'm going to go with just inability to block their defensive line.
So the question would be, of those two problems, which one would be more fixable?
More fixable? Well, I'm hoping it is offensive line by getting to work in a Lance Hurd and scooting Emory Jones to the interior, because Emory Jones is a more natural interior offensive lineman, and your interior 3 linemen just got whooped all night long. And then I think that the other part of fixing that is not playing against Florida State's defensive line. The defensive backfield, I'm a little concerned. They seem small. They seem to lack size and ability to get up there and get the ball. And you've got other guys like Paviano and, Denver Harris who have better size, but you just haven't heard much from them all camp long. So I don't know that there's a quick fix for the DBs.
Yeah, Brian Kelly said last night that Javian Toviano is a redshirt candidate, which floored me. I did not see that coming whatsoever. Do you think Lance Hurd will be the starting right tackle against Mississippi State next weekend?
That'd be tall order, Hunt.
Yep.
That'd be tall order. Now, if you were to ask me by, Texas A&M, I'd feel a lot more comfortable saying, yeah, I think so, more than 50-50 chance. Mississippi State, that's so quick, man.
It is, and I struggle to think that they could find enough on film against Grambling to make that move immediately. Right. But we'll certainly see come next weekend. As far as the running game goes, what could Logan Diggs bring?
Well, Logan brings probably the second most explosive ability on the team outside of Caleb Jackson. He's an athletic guy. He can hurdle people. And I really think LSU lacked that against Florida State. If you look at the running backs, they had 1 carry for 35 yards. That was Josh Williams, right? And then outside of that, on all of your carries for the entire game, you had a combined 14 yards. And I understand the offensive line didn't do you any favors, but you got to do better than that. Your running game cannot just be Jaden Daniels, on design runs and scrambles. You got to do more in the rushing game.
How'd you think Jaden Daniels played?
I charted every single snap he did because that seemed to be the hot question du jour. First off, let me say he's not the biggest problem. I charted his plays. 62% of his plays, excluding plays where he was neither good nor bad because, offensive line got blown up and there was nothing he could do. I took all those out of the equation. He had 62% good or great plays. He had 38% of his snaps were bad, where he made bad throws or bad decisions. And we talked about depth of target. His depth of target was 8.1 yards. Last year it was too low, and it was 8.9. He only had 4 throws beyond 15 yards, and 3 of them were bad throws, with the one good throw being on his final snap against backups where he threw it 24 yards to Brian Thomas and he takes it the other 51. So, there's some good, there's some bad in what I'm saying here, but certainly some improvement is needed in that, particularly with downfield passing.
That reminds me that I still haven't seen the Brian Thomas touchdown. I was in my car driving from the house to the studio to do the show. I heard Chris Blair call it, but I still have no idea what that play looked like because I was so dejected driving to the studio. Rustin Guys, our guest from Tiger Bait. How'd you think the wide receivers played? The ball went Malik Neighbors' way a lot and not the other guys very often.
Yeah, they didn't play very well, like most of the team, particularly Tyron Lacey. And I don't want to bully, an amateur athlete here, but he had drops. He had 2 nasty drops, and more so than that, what I noticed a lot was just lazy route running, or I guess just not crisp route running. There were plays where the coverage gave you what you wanted, but because you ran a sloppy route, Jaden wasn't able to get them open. And there weren't very many receivers getting off their coverage. There weren't a ton of guys running open. That's why I cut Jaden Daniels a bit of a break. Because there weren't a ton of just wide open receivers. There were some, and he missed some, but you could see a lot of the night was like, man, there was just nowhere he could go on that throw. So I'd say the receivers played a pretty rough game as a unit.
Let's flip to the defense. Where do you expect to see Harold Perkins lined up on Saturday night?
Whew, a lot of people want to just keep him as that one-trick pony, outside linebacker rushing after, or Jack rushing after the quarterback, right? I tend to believe he's just too talented to just keep him as a one-trick pony. You got to eventually have him play a true linebacker position, but I would be shocked. I think I saw only 7 quarterback rushes they sent him on. You can't do that. You got to get him after. He's too good at that, and he's too average in coverage. But that being said, I did see one snap where he had a nice stop in the middle on the running back, and that's something new to his game that he wouldn't have done that last year. However, it was just one play, and it was for, it wasn't for a loss. It was for 0 yards or maybe 1 yard. It was pretty close. So I would say that they will mix up and change what he does. I don't think they're going to do a full position change yet. Do you?
No, I just think they're going to bring him rushing more often. I think
agree.
You can't pigeonhole him into one thing like you're saying, because he's got to be able to do a little bit more than that. And if you find him on one side of the line of scrimmage, you can neutralize that to an extent. I think you got to move him around a little bit, but we'll see. That's Matt House's job, and he's pretty good. So we shall see. What does Mason Smith bring this team?
A lot. He's your most talented lineman, and let's not mix words. Losing him hurt last week, even though Mekhi Wingo played his ass off. Think about if you had another, elite defensive tackle right next to him, just how much interior pressure you could have gotten. And that's not to disparage the job that Jordan Jefferson or Jacoby and Guillory did, because they actually were some of the better players on the team last week. But Mason Smith just has the potential that's, highest on the defense outside of Harold Perkins. So getting him back will be good. Brian Kelly said 30 snaps. That made a sad Preston, because I've been telling everybody I want to see him every snap this game, because we're talking about a dude who's played in 10 games throughout his career. Yet we have these lofty expectations because, frankly, his career could be over in LSU in 11 games. Or 12 more games, whatever, that he is going to be one of the elite players in the country at his position. I'm like, well, then get that man some reps. Get him reps left and right. But coaches, obviously, I think what that is less about him coming off a suspension and more of him coming off an injury, not wanting to rush him back in there.
Look, I'm getting a pat on the back by a lot of people for picking LSU to lose, which I take no pleasure in. But I was also one of the guys who was beating the Aaron Anderson drum all of camp, and he came out and didn't look very good at all, muffed a punt, and didn't look great in the return game on kickoffs. Do you expect to see an improved version of that this week?
Well, let's talk about this real quick. You heard me talk about the breakdown about how Jaden Daniels only threw 4 passes beyond 15 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means his average throw was 8.1. You take out the outliers, his median throw is probably around 5 or 6 yards. So more than half of his throws are going less than 5 or 6 yards past the line of scrimmage. To not have that going on and not get the ball in the hands of a dynamic playmaker who can do something underneath like Aaron Anderson, I mean, that's coaching malfeasance at that point. You got to get the ball in his hands. So I don't know for a fact that they will, but he shouldn't just have one catch for 7 yards in this game. He should get the ball more, especially if Jaden is what Jaden is, and you're going to roll with Jaden Daniels, and he's not changing. He's going to be the same quarterback, which is what we saw last week. Then at least get the ball, put a player out there who can take advantage of that style of play.
We've touched on a lot. Is there anything else that you're looking for in the game against Grambling on Saturday night?
I'm interested to see if Chris Hilton
Yeah.
gets some good snaps, because we saw how good he was in fall camp. Me and you saw it together. Mostly with Nussmeier throwing him the ball, but he was really good, and the receivers were not really good last week. So I'd like to see him get worked in, and I'd like to see Garrett Nussmeier get in the game. I mean, you're not going to get to evaluate much of how good he is, but you are going to get to see his maturity as a quarterback, and hopefully he doesn't look like he looked against Southern last year. So those are two things that I would like to see him. And look, I know I have to put this disclaimer out there because you know how Nussmeier fans are.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying bench Jaden Daniels yet. I'm not there.
You and Mike post-game on Saturday night?
That's right. About 90 minutes after the game ends, we'll be on the Tiger Bait YouTube channel. Y'all come check us out.
Preston, we appreciate it. We'll talk next Friday.
All right. Thanks, hon.
He is Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. He and Mike do great work over there at TigerBait.com. Friday show is brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you're heading out to tailgate, no better spot than Corks. They can do all your catering orders. I promise you they can handle it. These are the guys that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue over across in Port Allen, and a lot of that business is catering on the Kuyon side. They can handle it with Corks. So if you don't want to get the open flame out there, you don't want to cook, and you want Corks to handle your tailgate, they can do it. Just give them some advance notice. They can have your trays of that delicious Gulf fried shrimp, trays of that crispy catfish, pans of French fries, and get you your tea, all your sauces, tartar sauce, cocktail sauce. They got it all over there at Corks, new food concept here in Baton Rouge on Government between Jefferson and Foster. Get on by for a late lunch today or dinner tonight. Bring it out to the tailgate or your watch party on Saturday night for LSU, Sunday for the Saints as well. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll shift focus to the National Football League next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I don't know if y'all seen what's brewing out there in the Atlantic. Just a beast of a hurricane that will hopefully stay out at sea. We know what goes on with those hurricanes and how big an inconvenience it can be, even if it doesn't hit you directly because you don't have power for a long time at times. Well, Boudreaux Electric can help you with that. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. Not just that, they're a premier Generac dealer, which means they're in the top 3% of Generac dealers nationwide. If you find a Generac generator less expensive than you could at Boudreaux's, they will match that price. It's not going to happen, but they'll match your price. And I can promise you this, when you get that Generac generator from Boudreaux's, it comes with a free 10-year warranty. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux, been running Boudreaux Electric for 40 years at the exact same phone number, which I'm going to give to you in a second. But call them up, get that Generac generator installed. They'll customize it to your home, to the size of your home and to your needs. You want to power the whole thing? They can do that. It's Boudreaux Electric, and you can find them at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Week 2 in the prep football season gets started tonight with Louisiana Prep Preview at 6, followed by Catholic High and Warren Easton kicking off at 7, and we wrap up the night with Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care. On YouTube, Your View and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Breaking news from Tom Pelissero, ESPN reporter for the NFL, says the Vikings added Marcus Davenport to the injury report. He's now questionable with an ankle injury. Surprise, surprise. I don't mean to laugh at the guy, but you got to be kidding me. Not even played a game. He's already on the injury report. Unbelievable. Let's hope the Saints have got a totally new unit on the defensive front that is significantly more productive than what we saw last year. Davenport collecting checks again to sit on the sidelines and likely not even play. Not the Saints' problem anymore. All right, we do this every single week on Fridays, our NFL tier list. I'm not going to break down every game on the NFL schedule because you don't really want to hear that. But I'm going to throw like a little nugget, little factoid as we kind of roll through. And I rank them into 4 tiers. 4 is the worst football of the weekend. And tier number 1 is must-see TV or the best games of the weekend. I have a couple in tier 4 this weekend as we get underway in week 1. Tampa's at the Vikings. That's one of the worst teams in the league against what should be one of the better teams in the NFC. Baker Mayfield will tie an NFL record on Sunday. Tie an NFL record starting week 1 for 3 teams in 3 years. Congratulations, Baker. That is one of the only records you'll be tying in the NFL. I heard Colin Cowherd earlier today say that he needed to retire. So if you're in a quarterback competition with Kyle Trask, you just should retire and go do college football as an analyst. They'll pay you 7 figures for it. Bucks and Vikings, not my favorite matchup. Neither is the Cardinals at the Commanders. I mean, Josh Dobbs and Clayton Tune, that's what we're talking about. That is Tank City until Kyler gets back. Washington's front is a monster. That's going to be a real problem for the Cardinals, who should be atrocious this year. Tier 3, not great football, but better than the trash in Tier 4, is Panthers at Falcons. The last number 1 pick to win a season-opening start, Derek Carr in 2002. Number 1 overall picks, 0-13-1 since then. Bryce Young will try to skirt that against Desmond Ridder and the Falcons in the ATL. The Jaguars are at the Colts. The Colts haven't won in week 1 since 2013. That's awful. Like, just luck into one over the last 9 years, 10 years. The Jags have lost 5 straight in Indy, though, so something's got to give. I got a feeling Jacksonville's going to go in there and win. The Texans are at the Ravens. How about this for John Harbaugh? 14-2 against rookie quarterbacks when he's at home over the last 16. That is impressive. This is maybe even more impressive in the NFL. The Ravens are 43-0 as a franchise outright when they are a double-figure favorite. Now, that doesn't happen a ton in the NFL, but 43-0, that's pretty remarkable. So if you're looking for something that's never failed, throw some money on the Ravens on the money line. You're not going to get a good return on it, but you can get something. The Raiders are at the Broncos. The Broncos have lost 6 straight to the Raiders, which surprises me a good bit. Is Sean Payton have Russell Wilson ready? I think the eyes of the country are going to be watching that. If Russell Wilson goes out there and looks terrible once again, and you're probably going to have everybody kind of going, oh, this might not be very good. If Russell Wilson goes out there and throws for 315 and 3 touchdowns, people might start taking the Broncos seriously pretty quickly because of the brand that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton could be based on their past accomplishments. The Rams are at the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp's not going to play. The Seahawks have won 4 straight season openers. I expect that they'll win another one because I think the Rams are going to be bad. Matt Stafford's kind of cashed at this point, got the Super Bowl he was looking for, got a ton of money. The Rams aren't going to be great. I don't look for a lot out of them. And the Seahawks, a year ago at this time, everybody thought were a joke, and all of a sudden they're a significant threat to potentially win their division out there in the West. All right, here's tier 2 where most of the action is going to be. This is just good football between quality teams here. The Bengals are at the Browns. Myles Garrett flat owns the Bengals. It's a real problem. Garrett has 11 sacks in 9 games against Cincinnati, and in those 9 games that Myles Garrett has played against the Bengals, the Browns are 7-2. Burrow has had all kinds of trouble with Cleveland. They have Orlando Brown. He's going to be a tackle for him. He's going to be a left tackle. Is he ready to help, and is Joe ready to play? I mean, he's going to play. He's a full participant in practice on Thursday. He's going to be out there. Just a question of how healthy is he and how much rust is he having to shake off. Hopefully the Bengals can get off to a good start because they theoretically got some help last night with the Chiefs losing if you're thinking the Bengals could be towards the top of the AFC. The 49ers are at the Steelers. That's Purdy versus Pickett. They went 242 draft picks apart from each other. The last 3 years, Pittsburgh is 3-0 against the spread in Week 1, and San Francisco is 0-3. So figure that if those trends continue, Pittsburgh would cover that number. I told you yesterday I've got San Francisco winning the Super Bowl this year. The Packers are at the Bears. This may mean a little bit more to me than it does to y'all. It doesn't mean anything to me, but I hear about it a lot because of all the Cubs chatter that I'm swept up in September, and they're all kind of shifting their focus toward the Bears a little bit. But listen to this. I mentioned this yesterday. Think about if you're an LSU fan and you've had quarterback problems for 30 years. Like, you cannot get a good quarterback in. And for the Bears, you're talking about Cutler and Grossman being as good as they've gotten, and still a lot of McCowns and whatever they've had out there. And the Packers have had 2 of the best 15 ever in Rodgers and Favre. And over the last 31 matchups, the Packers are 26-5 against the Bears. 26-5. And if you're a Bears fan, you have to get up every single beginning of September, every Labor Day, moving into the season going, yep, there's Favre. Yep, there's Rodgers. What do we have? Nothing. And Justin Fields may be nothing, but there's no Rodgers and there's no Favre. And the Bears can really take a deep sigh of relief if they can go out there and play really well and Jordan Love doesn't look good. Conversely, if Fields throws 2 picks and Love goes nuts, it may be a real sad state of affairs on the lakefront in Chicago. But the Bears led the NFL in rushing last year. Packers don't have their quarterback. We'll see how that one goes. The Eagles are at the Patriots. Philadelphia last year had the 3rd most sacks in NFL history in a single season, and New England's offensive line is a significant question mark. So I'm just not in the mode of giving Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt these days. I did when he had Brady, but now I don't question whether or not Bill Belichick's a great coach. I know he's a great coach. He's one of the greatest coaches ever in NFL history, and his legacy speaks for itself. I don't expect anything moving forward from his coaching career because I don't think Mac Jones is very good, and I don't think their team, their roster's all that good. I think Philly goes to New England and wins. Cowboys and Giants are the Sunday night game. This is in Tier 2 as well. Evan Neal tackle from Alabama, who the Giants drafted early in the first round, had no chance against Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence last year. They had 5 sacks in two games. Dallas has owned this series. Specifically, Dak Prescott has owned this series with the Giants. He's won 10 in a row against the Giants, which surprises me. I think part of that is the fact that Saquon Barkley hasn't had any success against Dallas. He's run for 100 yards twice against the Cowboys. He's run for less than 55 different times. So just been really, really tough for Saquon to get going. Dak's been awesome. We'll see on Sunday Night Football with the Cowboys and the Giants. And I only have one game this weekend in Tier 1 is what I think is the game of the weekend. And I think that sneakily, it might be the Dolphins and the Chargers. Kellen Moore moves over to the offensive coordinator spot in LA from Dallas. The Chargers have leaned on the passing game heavily in the Herbert era. They were the worst in the NFL last year in a couple of categories. One on defense with stopping the run. Raheem Mostert may be able to exploit that. And then can Tua stay healthy? I know if I'm trying to stay healthy and not get concussed, Joey Bosa is not really the guy that I want to look at, quite frankly. So we'll see. These are two teams that are theoretically fighting towards the top of the AFC. You would lump them in with the Chiefs. You would lump them in with Jacksonville. You would lump them in with Buffalo and the Jets. And I think the Dolphins and Chargers are in that mix as we sit here today. One of them gets off to a really good start, and that game is in L.A. on Sunday. So that's a look at the NFL on Sunday. I'll be trying to recover from a long night at Tiger Stadium, but very much looking forward to seeing some NFL action, specifically the Saints and the Titans coming up on Sunday afternoon. When we come back, I'll give you my thoughts on that game. That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready for the NFL season that we just mentioned with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, just bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That'd be a good way to watch the games on Sunday. Plus, all customers who do bet $5 are going to get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just a $5 bet, $100 off Sunday Ticket. You can watch all the games. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 NFL Week 1 matchups, we'll kick things off with the noon kickoff, the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then immediately following that game, we'll bring you the Philadelphia Eagles at the New England Patriots. And then your nightcap, the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants here on 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Everyone wants to start fast. There's no doubt about that, myself included. I want to start fast, come out the gates hot. Everybody's preaching that. Everybody wants to do that. The fact is that this week, half the teams are going to win, half the teams are going to lose. Does that mean the season's over? Absolutely not. I've had a coach fired, mid-season, and we still made the playoffs. That was right after September. They told us that it had never been done before. Well, we were that team that went and made the playoffs. We're the only ones to do it. And so I think I've been through too much to say that if this happens or that happens, it's over or it's great. I'm going to show up and give my best every day. And I know this team will too. And hopefully we start fast, but you want to finish even better.
That's Saints' new quarterback, Derek Carr, talking about John Gruden being fired and the Raiders going on to make the playoffs. I'll be candid. And look, it's all on tapes. You can go back and listen to it. But when the Saints signed Derek Carr, I said, okay, spend $100 million on a quarterback. I think he's league average quarterback. I just think you've made yourself a mediocre team and you've protected yourself from the bottom falling out. But are you any closer to winning a Super Bowl? And I had big complaints about that. And I still don't consider the Saints a Super Bowl favorite by any stretch. And I realized that we are in, as I talk about all the time, this point of the calendar with NFL teams, just like LSU fans were 7 days ago, where you feel as good as you're going to feel about your team because nothing has happened poorly. Nobody's really gotten hurt. We haven't lost a game. Everything is positive at this point in Saints world like it was in LSU world 7 days ago. And that can change pretty quickly. But as I look at the Saints' assembled pieces, and I look at their division, and I look at their schedule, and then I take it a step further, and I just look at the NFC as a whole. If you're a Saints fan, you ought to be fired up today. You really should. The Saints have a chance to have a really good season. You look back at the history of this franchise, and what percentage of seasons would you consider really good seasons? Like 6 of them? 6? Maybe 10? But not that many. It's a countable amount. And I feel like the Saints can have a really good season this year. I think it's absolutely possible for the Saints to win 12 games. I think they can go 12-5. I don't think that's beyond the scope of possibility at all. I think you start getting to 13 or 14 wins, and I'm going to have to pump those brakes. But 12 is going to get you very much into the playoffs. 12 is going to get you, you're going to win the division at 12 games, which means you're going to get a home playoff game. And you're likely to win a home playoff game, certainly have a really good chance to win it. And then all of a sudden, where are we? We're deep into January. Like, that's absolutely attainable. And that is coming from a guy who's, one, not a homer sunshine pumping, because my blood pressure doesn't change at all when the Saints are in the fourth quarter and I'm in the dome. I'm just bummed out they're not selling beer anymore because it's the fourth quarter. But I'm just looking at the team. I've got concerns, okay? The interior of the offense, really the entire offensive line, could be shoddy and is an injury or two away from really being in flux. And at that point, you step back and go, okay, this is not very good. This could be a big issue. But nobody's hurt right now, so we're not there. And I've got some questions about the defensive front. But we're going to get some answers on the defensive front Sunday. And if you can come out against a physical group with a physical back who figures to get 23 carries in this game, and you can stand up to them and stand up to Derrick Henry, I'll feel better Monday than I do today. Derek Carr is going to be fine. He's going to get you in the right play. He's going to make the right decision. He'll usually make a pretty good throw. Is he Breeze? No. Is he Dalton? No. And I think the weapons that the Saints have are going to create a successful offense. I'd like to have Kamara in this game, sure. I'd like to have Kendre Miller in this game, frankly. But it's probably going to be a heavy dose of Jamal Williams, and that's fine. You'll get to Kamara in 3 games, and he'll be pretty fresh after a month. But I like where the Saints roster sits. I think the secondary's got a chance to be well above average. I think the linebackers are above average if everybody stays healthy. I think you've got a chance to be good on the defensive front. Don't have to worry. I just mentioned Marcus Davenport going on the injured report for the Vikings 2 days before the first game. Don't have to deal with that. And I think the offense with that leadership is going to be pretty good. And we've made a big deal out of the quarterbacks the Saints are playing. Goodness gracious, they're awful. It's as bad a crop as you could pick to play against. I mean, is anybody scared of Ryan Tannehill on Sunday? Anybody? Feel free to raise your hand. I'm all eyes and ears. Is anybody scared of Bryce Young next week? Jordan Love, the Baker boy, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence in the Dome, could be tough. Anthony Richardson, he wasn't good in college. Justin Fields, Cousins. I mean, you get the picture. Y'all know this by now. The point of this segment, I'll give my pick for Sunday's game at the end of the show. I'll do that with my LSU pick as well. The point of this is for someone on this station who does not have an emotional investment in the Saints winning, which T-Bob certainly does, and Charlie and Jimmy certainly do, and Matt certainly does, and that's great. I got as emotional a tie as anybody to what goes on Saturdays around here, and we just talk about it. It's fine. I just feel like I'm in a little bit of a different position and have a little different perspective from those guys, and I'm telling you I think this looks pretty good. Now, last year it crumbled, and it started with Jameis, and then it went into the injuries, and it just was not recoverable. And I don't have all the confidence in the world in Dennis Allen. I don't, which is probably fair. But the Saints roster, combined with the division, combined with the schedule, combined with the conference, tells me that by the time Thanksgiving and Christmas roll around, we should be talking about really, really important games that the Saints are playing. And at that time, you're playing Bryce Young and Daniel Jones. And if Matt Stafford's still upright on December 21st, it's a bad Rams team anyway. And Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask and Desmond Ridder. Those are the last quarterbacks you play when you're supposed to have all the chips on the line. So I say all that before Derek Carr ever takes a snap for the Saints to sit here and tell you that I think that the Saints front office did the right thing. They upgraded themselves at quarterback. I mean, he's making less than half of what Burrow's going to make. You did not break the bank for a quarterback. You upgraded at quarterback and left yourself some flexibility on the rest of the roster. And oh, by the way, as we sit here, the Saints still have $13 million under the cap or thereabouts. I think the Saints are in good shape. And if you're driving around town as a Saints fan who's also an LSU fan who's listening to this show, if you want to get really excited for the LSU game on Saturday night, God bless you. That's awesome. I'm excited to go in there and watch. As far as the competitiveness of the game, there's not much there. But you should be very excited to watch the Saints play on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, because this team has a chance to have one of the better seasons in what is admittedly a putrid history of the Saints. I'm not picking them to win the NFC. I picked San Francisco. I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl. I'm picking them to win the division, and I think they're going to have a solid roster and a solid organization. If injuries happen or if I completely lose confidence in the coach by the end of October, we'll talk about it. But I think the Saints are in good shape as we sit here today. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Watching the Saints on Sunday, looking for a quick pickup so you can get in front of that TV after church. Cork's, Government, Foster, and Jefferson. They can feed your whole family with the big haul. They can just feed you with one of those delicious fish or shrimp or both entrees. Love our partners over there at Cork's on Government. Second hour's coming at you. We got a lot to get to on my SEC picks. Talking a little Bama in Texas. That's after Sports Center on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team been in the game for 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. And if you do a combo, bathroom and a closet, 10% off. Can be a full-scale renovation or remodel. Could be something minor, just using your space a little bit more efficiently than you're using it right now. David Duvall and his team are experts. They're the only call you make. Could be a big job. You're dealing with an entire bathroom renovation or remodel, but you don't have to call 3 different contractors to get it done. Just David Duvall and his team. And maybe it's not you that needs that job done. Maybe it's a loved one that needs a little safer area around the bathroom as they age. Walk-in tub is available. Guardrails around the shower and tub areas. Just make the call to One Bath and Closets and go to the website. It's onebathandclosets.com. The website again is onebathandclosets.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. At the FIBA World Cup semifinals in Manila today, Germany beats Team USA 113-111, fending off a furious U.S. comeback in the final minutes. U.S. coach Steve Kerr.
I couldn't be prouder of our guys for how hard they played, how they've approached these last 5 weeks in practice and put in all the work. And this team is very worthy of winning a championship. And we just didn't get it done.
Steve Kerr. In the other semi, Serbia beat Canada 95-86. Team USA plays Canada for the bronze on Sunday. You may have heard it's opening weekend in the NFL, so which game is getting the most attention at some of the sports books? Nebraska at Colorado. The Buffaloes are getting more bets than all of the Sunday and Monday NFL games combined. Men's semifinal day at the U.S. Open, coverage underway on ESPN. Ben Shelton playing Grand Slam, 23-time Grand Slam champ Novak Djokovic, followed by Carlos Alcaraz and Daniil Medvedev.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up on Monday, I'll tell you all the small things I saw this weekend that you need to know. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
All right, we got 1 hour to go here on the Hunt Palmer Show this week. Getting ready for another football weekend. High school action tonight. Cade Wasson and his cast of thousands will get you ready for that with Louisiana Prep Preview. It's 6 o'clock tonight. Get you ready for Catholic High football, and they'll have the scoreboard show immediately following. High school all over the state of Louisiana tonight. We'll have LSU and Grambling tomorrow, and then the Saints will start their season on Sunday in the Dome. Let's make our picks for the Southeastern Conference games against the spread this weekend. Went 0-2 in Week 0 with with Vanderbilt and Missouri. So, or was it just Vanderbilt? Yeah, it was just Vanderbilt. So I was 0-1. That's right. So 0-1, that's what I have here. But I was thinking for some reason that Missouri played Week 0. They just played Thursday with Florida. So that was Week 0. I was 0-1. I was 7-4 last week. So we're 7-5 on the year moving into Week 2. Let's get it cracking here. We'll start in chronological order. I had to check this like 3 different places because it kept telling me that Vanderbilt and Wake Forest were playing at 10 o'clock in the morning. My time, they are. It's Eastern, so it'll be at 11 there. But they're playing at 10 o'clock. That's before game day's over. It's an hour before game day's over. But that is what time they're playing. Vanderbilt at Wake Forest. The Deacs are favored by 10 in this game. Wake beat Elon 37-17. Mitch Griffiths is the one taking over for Sam Hartman over there in Deacon Land. A.J. Swan was not great last week for Vanderbilt. They're playing Alabama A&M. He was 15 of 29 for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Wake doesn't have Sam Hartman, and I don't think they're very good. I can't claim that I can go through their depth chart one by one, but 10 points seems like a lot. I don't think Vanderbilt's great either, but I am going to take the points. So give me Vandy plus the 10. Ball State is at Georgia, and I really don't care how Ball State plays against Georgia. I was just curious because I know they showed up on my pick sheet last week. That means they're catching big checks 2 weeks in a row. They lost to Kentucky 44-14 last week. They got $1.55 million from Kentucky to play that game. They'll go to Athens this week to play Georgia, and they'll get $1.6 million. So $3.15 million into the bank account for Ball State over these 2-week SEC two-step. Georgia beat UT Martin 48-7 last week. Carson Beck was just okay, according to most people that were watching that very closely. Georgia did have 11 guys that made a catch last week in Week 1. I went against Georgia, and I covered last week with UT Martin. This time I'm going to lay the points with Georgia. Eventually they're going to beat somebody 59-0. Might as well be this week. It's a 42-point number. Ball State was not good against Kentucky. They're not going to be good against Georgia. So give me the dogs. I'll lay the 42. Eastern Kentucky is at Kentucky. That's a 31.5-point line. Eastern Kentucky, this will be interesting to those of you listening in Baton Rouge. They got beat by Cincinnati last week, 66-13. I don't care about that. I don't either. But interestingly, when I looked at the box score, Cincinnati's quarterback, do you know who that is? Emory Jones, the old Florida quarterback. Cincinnati's running back, you may know who that is. Corey Kiner, former LSU back. Those two combined for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns against Eastern Kentucky last week. This is going to be a cakewalk for Kentucky. They're definitely going to cover the 31.5. This is like approaching Jimmy Ott lock of the week territory. Give me Kentucky minus 31.5 against Eastern Kentucky. I will certainly take it. All right, a really contested game here. This is Ole Miss at Tulane. It'll be in Ullman. Going to be hot uptown, but it's going to be full there as the Green Wave welcome in Ole Miss. Michael Pratt was great last week against South Alabama. 14 of 15, 294 yards, 4 touchdowns. But late in the game, he got his leg rolled up on. He appears to be okay, but he did use his legs a little bit last year. He ran for 10 touchdowns for the Green Waves. My only question in this game is not about Michael Pratt, because I think he'll play pretty well. He's a good player, and Ole Miss is far from a great defense. But can Tulane stand up to the Ole Miss running game? Because it's coming. Like, they're going to run the ball. Quinshon Judkins is coming. He's packing a lunch. If you can't stop him, Lane will not stop. This was last year, Ole Miss running the football. Troy, Ole Miss ran for 266. At Georgia Tech, they ran for 333. Against Tulsa, they ran for 308. Against Auburn, they ran for 448. Against Arkansas, they ran for 390. Against A&M, they ran for 390. Against Arkansas, 436. If they can run the ball, they're just going to keep running it until you show up. And I worry in the trenches with Tulane. I was listening to Charlie and Jimmy earlier, and he said, they held up with USC in the trenches. I think they'll be fine. I'm not so sure. I think that Ole Miss is going to get the run game going. They just have better players. I know that Tulane beat the Heisman Trophy winner last year. I know that they're ranked. I know that they've got a good coach. I know they got Michael Pratt. They're Tulane. Sorry. Give me Ole Miss. I'll lay the 7.5 gleefully. I think they cover this by a touchdown. Okay, let's talk about this one. Everybody gather in, come around. Let's get the team together. Let's boost morale. Let's get everybody on the same page. It's all about the U, baby. Throw the U's up. I got it up for those on YouTube. Throw the U's up. We got to have the Canes. A&M headed to Miami. 4 points is the number. Miami's offense in College Station last year, atrocious. Tyler Van Dyke was 21 of 41. Awful. For 217 yards. Miami had 4 red zone chances. They got to the 9 and had to kick a field goal. They got to the 4 and had to kick a field goal. They got to the 17 and had to kick a field goal, and they turned it over on downs. Couldn't score a touchdown. 4 red zone trips. Miami's got 4 starters back on offense. They pretty much overhauled it, but one of them is Tyler Van Dyke. He better be good. Here comes Bobby Petrino. This is the test case. The test case is not New Mexico in College Station. The test case is real players against Miami. Now, Miami went 5-7 last year, so I'm not trying to tell you that this is the 88 Canes. It's not. But to me, it's all about how well A&M can run the ball. I don't have any questions about their playmakers at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. They've got dudes. Real dudes. But if you don't block and you can't run, it won't matter. Again, Miami's not the Steel Curtain. They're not the Purple People Eaters. They're not the 85 Bears. But they are a functional football team. They're probably on the same level as some of the mid-tier to lower-tier SEC teams. And if A&M comes out, controls the line of scrimmage, Wigman once again doesn't turn it over and throws for 2 touchdowns, and A&M rolls up 38 points, that'll be a real statement. If they can't run the ball and there's pressure on Wigman, and they settle for field goals in the red zone, and they score 24, well, we'll still have questions. It's a 4-point number. I don't trust Miami. I don't think it'll be a hostile environment for A&M, and I'm starting to drink a little A&M Kool-Aid, unfortunately. It's like cyanide. Just kill me on the spot. But I'm going to take A&M and lay the 4 points. Come on, Canes. Get it done. Kent State's at Arkansas. Kent State lost to Central Florida 56-6. Central Florida ran the ball for, check my notes here, 9 billion yards in that game. Rocket Sanders isn't going to play. Doesn't matter. Arkansas is big, physical. They're going to run it. KJ Jefferson will run it. They'll find the next running back to run it. They'll run it like crazy. Give me the Hogs. I'll lay the 38 in that one. Austin Peay is at Tennessee. That number is 36 and a hook. It's what I'm going to keep going back to with Tennessee. When they have a lot better players than you, they will overwhelm you with the tempo. And they're going to do it again. I thought Heupel put the kid gloves on for Joe Milton last week. A lot of horizontal throws, a lot of runs, a lot of tempo. Didn't take a ton of shots. And Milton kind of does what he does. He's accurate sometimes. He's inaccurate other times. I thought he was just okay. But Tennessee will score 50 or 60 points in this game, and Austin Peay won't get enough to cover. So I will lay the 36.5 with the Vols. All right, Texas and Bama. 6 o'clock start, so 30 minutes for LSU. I'll probably spend some time watching this game in the press box, to be quite honest. We'll see how things go. But Texas and Bama from Bryant Denny. Texas, we know, moved the ball well against Alabama in Austin. They also got the benefit of a ton of penalties that Alabama committed in that game. Then Ewers goes out, Bryce Young does his thing, and Bama gets out of Austin with a win. Texas has 8 offensive starters back from that game. We'll see if they can duplicate it. They're very talented on the outside. Xavier Worthy is going to be a high draft pick. Adonai Mitchell has great credentials. But Ewers in Texas did not complete a pass of 20 yards or more against Rice last week. Now you got Kool-Aid McKinstry. Like, that's an issue. You're going to have to throw the ball and throw it well. They've got guys that can get open, I think, but Ewers is going to have to hit them. This is the real test case for Jalen Milroe. Because even if Bama wins with the stifling defense and they run enough to get it done and they win 21-13, we'll still sit back and go, okay, yeah, but what about Milroe? Like, can he do this? When they get to the point that they have to beat Georgia or they have to beat Ohio State or they have to beat Caleb Williams or they got to beat Florida State or whoever the case may be, like, is he good enough to do that? And I've got my doubts. I know he hit some guys for deep balls last week. That's a team that's grossly overmatched. They can't stop the run. I've been saying all summer that I think this Bama team has got issues at quarterback. It would be talking out of both sides of my mouth if I sat here and said, oh, they're going to crush Texas. No doubt. They're fine. He's good. I've already said for 2 months I didn't think he was very good. So I've got to take Texas and the 7 points. I heard Jimmy talking earlier. If you were listening, he said, look, Texas doesn't beat anyone ever. They played some people close. They beat their non-conference teams, and they beat Iowa State sometimes. They don't beat anybody. I don't know if they'll win, but I'll take the 7 points and hope that Bama's taking a big step back. Do I feel good about it? Not really. Continue to roll through. Middle Tennessee is at Missouri. It's a 21-point line. Middle Tennessee went to Tuscaloosa last week. Now they're in Columbia, Missouri. How much are they making? Well, they made $2.5 million, but they're still like $500,000 short of what Ball State was able to get. Missouri was not impressive against South Dakota. The Blue Raiders are going to be thrilled that they're playing Missouri instead of Alabama. It's probably going to feel a lot easier to play. So I'll take Middle Tennessee. I'll take the 21 points. I don't feel great about that one either, but give me the Blue Raiders. McNeese is at Florida. If Florida can't win by 26.5, which is the line I found, then fold the program. Just send Sunbelt Billy out. Find something else to do. You're pretty good at baseball. Couldn't quite get that done. Had to throw that in there. But if you can't cover 26.5 against McNeese, then what are we doing here? I don't even know if that's a legit number. I just saw it on some website when I Googled Florida McNeese point spread. That popped up. I don't feel a lot of joy in picking that one. But, hey, I'll take Florida, and I'll lay the 26.5. Another big game, 2 of them at night. 6:30, Arizona and Mississippi State. Of course, that's LSU's next opponent, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Arizona's quarterback, Jaden DeLaura, had the 3rd best passing season in Arizona history last year. He threw for 3,600 yards and 25 touchdowns. For Mississippi State last week, Woody Marks had 19 carries, 127 yards. That was against Southeastern, yeah. Can they do it again against an FBS school? Because that'll be a big talking point for us next week. If Mississippi State shows that they can push Arizona around and run the ball a little bit, well, that'll be a change in identity for them that we've got to account for next week. Arizona's defense was abysmal last year. They gave up 40 points a game against the Pac-12, and that was with Colorado only scoring 20, who was the laughingstock of the country last year. So they got a bunch of new transfers on defense. I'm going to stick with Mississippi State, who I've told you I think is pretty good. I'll lay the 9 points. Feels like this could be like a 24-14 game, but that would get me home. I'll take Mississippi State, and I will lay the 9. Furman in South Carolina, couldn't find a line for it. Don't care. Go Paladins, whatever. And then I'm really excited about this. I never get this. 6:30 kickoff for LSU. Figure the game's over a little bit before 10. Puts me off the air at like 11:15. I can get home. Auburn and Cal don't start till 9:30. I can catch the second half. I'm guessing temps are going to be in the mid-60s. Auburn's laying 6.5. You know Cal's head coach is Justin Wilcox. They brought Jake Spavital, he of the early Sumlin era in College Station. He's their offensive coordinator because their offense has been terrible. I still love Auburn here. All I got to do is win by a touchdown. I don't think Auburn's great, but I don't think Cal's great either. And I liked what Auburn did with their quarterbacks, creating a little bit of stability with Thorne and then playmaking ability with Ashford. I thought that looked good. I love Auburn covering the 6.5 against Cal, so I will take Hugh Freeze's crew. And I'll get to watch the second half to see what happens. So that's super exciting. We'll come back with more LSU Grambling talk. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Just so excited every day to tell you about Ochsner and MD Anderson Cancer Center partnering together to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center here in southeastern Louisiana. The collaboration between the two is going to provide patients in our region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in all the nation. Ochsner is the first and only provider in Louisiana that's got a fully integrated cancer program based on MD Anderson's practice standards and treatment plans. Those treatment plans are customized. They're going to have direct access to MD Anderson specialists and researchers. And they're going to have access to select clinical trials that are available to eligible patients. Awesome news is that there's expert care from Ochsner MD Anderson in 7 locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, and Baton Rouge, and more sites are coming in the future. If you'd like to learn more information or just see where those additional sites may be, learn where those 7 locations are, where Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center is up and running, go to ochsner.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Football Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Phil Steele previewing the biggest games of the weekend. We're talking Saints, Titans, Tigers. Join us. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
We had Preston Guy on back in hour number one, as we do. It was an hour ago exactly, as we do each and every Friday, and he charted LSU's game against Florida State and said Jaden Daniels' median throw was about 8 yards, and the majority of them were under 8 yards, closer to 5. The only pass down the field of 20 yards or more that LSU completed was the final one to Brian Thomas. And that's obviously a bit of a concern. We heard Brian Kelly all last year say, hey, you got to take more chances. You got to take more shots. You got to get the ball down the field. And you figure LSU's got the receivers to make plays if and when they do that. And clearly LSU did not make enough plays down the field against Florida State. So Brian Kelly was asked last night, like, did he take enough shots?
I think when we look at big plays, I think we had about 11 big plays in the passing game, and, they're 20 yards plus. That's going to get it done for you. So, we had a drop there. We, certainly I'm sure there's some plays that we would have liked to see him connect on. I think at the end of the day, we're calling the plays necessary for us to be explosive offensively. We have to execute at a higher level, both at quarterback, wide receiver, and from a protection standpoint.
I can tell you that LSU's staff was comfortable with Jaden Daniels' decision-making for the vast majority of the game. There were a couple of plays that you'd like to have back. But for the most part, they thought Jaden Daniels' decision-making was quality. They just didn't hit enough. And obviously, you got the big play to Trey Bradford to start the game. You scheme that up. You get the wheel route. You get a linebacker sleeping, and you get the huge play. They got Brian Thomas wide open, and the decision was made to make that throw, and it was made poorly. They took the shots at the end of the first half to Malik Neighbors. I thought he locked on Neighbors a little bit too much there, but that's your best player, so I'm not going to complain too much about trying to get the ball up there. And then, you had the chance to hit the fade route, and Malik wants you to throw it a little higher, and Jaden didn't put quite enough air on it. But you got to work those kinks out. That's something you hope that LSU would be rocking and rolling in year 2 of this offense with everybody kind of coming back. Just wasn't as smooth as you'd hope. And what are the other guys that you can get involved in the offense? You know that Kyron Lacey had a bit of a tough go, and you know that Malik's going to be kind of your number one guy. But Chris Hilton's somebody that we've talked about a lot, but hasn't had a lot of production because of injuries in his LSU career. I think you're going to see him on Saturday night.
I think Chris has deserved the opportunity to play some more regardless. And Grambling is going to present a great challenge for us. And again, regardless of the competition, regardless of who we were playing, he's put himself in a position in the way he's practiced to get more reps. So Chris is going to be in the mix.
Speed's fun. Just get these guys the ball. Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, even Malik, like some stuff around the line of scrimmage, bubble screens, quick screens, now passes. I'd love to see that. Get some of those guys involved. That's something that I would expect to see. And Chris Hilton, I'm pulling for. That's a guy from this area who's got a ton of talent, who had offers to go all over the place to play, decides to come to LSU, and has just battled injuries his entire time here. But you're in year 3 now. The guys that you came in with, Malik Neighbors has made huge plays, had a 1,000-yard season. Brian Thomas, you came up with, has made huge plays, big plays against Florida and touchdowns. And Chris Hilton's kind of been a forgotten man, but the talent's still there and the speed is still there. So, look, if Aaron Anderson's not getting it done as far as being a kickoff returner, and he can't get back to the 20-yard line, I wouldn't complain 1 second if you threw Chris Hilton out there and let him go. I'd actually love to see that. Another guy who was not used last week for reasons I believe were due to injury was Logan Diggs, former Notre Dame running back, and LSU's running back group didn't really do anything in the game on Sunday. So moving in, you've got to get the running game going some, and it appears that Logan Diggs is going to be maybe ready to go.
Logan Diggs has been getting quite a bit of work. He feels healthy, and I think a lot of the hesitation was that he wasn't full speed, and to put him in a game against a top 5 opponent or top 10 opponent in Florida State, Frank just didn't feel comfortable in doing so.
When Logan Diggs committed LSU, I turned on his YouTube highlights from Notre Dame and said, okay, what's this guy? And when I watched that, I see a guy that hit a home run against South Carolina. I see a guy who catches the ball a little bit. I see a guy who can make a linebacker miss. The physicality is not necessarily a strength in his game. And when you see him in practice, he's not the biggest guy you've ever seen. But he is absolutely capable of being an SEC back. And I thought when I saw that on YouTube and I looked at LSU's room, I said, that's the running back that'll lead the team in rushing. And I felt that way in summer. And I think I'm probably leaning Josh Williams now because the staff just trusts him so much. But I'd like to see what Diggs has. And I'd like to see him look healthy on Saturday. I'd like to see him touch the ball on the edges a little bit, maybe with some swing passes, some edge runs. I think that would be awesome to see some of Logan Diggs play. And the last thing that we'll talk about here when we talk about Grambling and LSU is the quarterback spot. I gave you my thoughts on Daniels. You kind of know my thoughts on Daniels at this point. He's, I believe, a quality quarterback in the SEC. He was voted first-team All-SEC preseason for a reason. I'm not suggesting he's a perfect quarterback or is going to win the Heisman Trophy. I'm not suggesting he played an awesome game on Sunday. And I know there are so many of you that are so anti at this point because of some of the things that you look at. And I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong or that you're like, I don't sit there and cut up coach's film and digest it. I take in what I see and I form my opinions, and you're free to have yours. I think he's a good player, and I think he'll play well tomorrow. But you're going to see Garrett Nussmeier tomorrow as well. And I'm just excited to see him get out there and function the offense and let it rip, because the fact of the matter is that no matter who you want to be LSU starting quarterback, if you have already decided you want Nussmeier to be the guy, that's the guy you want to be the quarterback. You're wasting time with Daniels. He's not developing. He's not throwing the ball down the field. That's fine. Or if you think Jaden Daniels is a great player and could lead LSU to a 10-2 season and a New Year's Six Bowl or whatever the case may be, like, the fact of the matter is that Jaden Daniels runs a lot. He doesn't weigh that much. And there's a reasonable chance that he may miss some time in a game or a week or a couple weeks, and that Garrett Nussmeier may have to come in and play. Remember some of the great seasons in LSU history. 2007, pretty good year. Well, Brian Perrill had to play the SEC championship game. 2011, team was pretty good. Starting quarterback got suspended for the first half of the year. Backup had to play. Those two teams are pretty good. Played for a national championship. I'm not comparing the accomplishment of the teams. I'm saying backup quarterbacks sometimes have to come in, and I think LSU's got a really good one. And I think we'll see him on Saturday. And I hope he takes some shots, and I hope he lets it rip. And that's the joy of kind of playing some of these games is you're the superior team. You should do some really good things. I hope he doesn't throw a pick. I hope he shows a little mobility. And I hope he gets a little bit more confidence, because at some point LSU is probably going to need Garrett Nussmeier, and we'll certainly see him out at some point in the game on Saturday. And guess what? He goes out there and goes 11 for 12 for 2 touchdowns and 196 yards. We'll come in on Monday, and everybody will be talking about how LSU's playing the wrong guy. But that's just the way things go in backup quarterback land, which everybody to an extent lives in when things aren't going perfectly, and that's the case when you're 0-1 for sure. If you'd like to see comedian Dave Chappelle live at the Smoothie King Center coming up next week, Friday, September the 15th, tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, so you can go buy them. Or 104.5 is going to give you a chance to get a chance to see Dave for free. Go to 1045ESPN.com and register for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Again, that's 1045ESPN.com. We still got to make my final pick for the Saints and the Titans. We'll do that a little bit later. And as you well know at this point, got to play Take It or Leave It. So we'll do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. The program Champions of Louisiana is such an awesome initiative from LWCC. Their goal is to elevate and celebrate champions of Louisiana. They've done it with Corey Barr. They've done it with the Four Sisters Rice Company. They've done it with over a dozen companies in our state. And it's awesome to look at their website, lwcc.com/champions, and look at the people doing awesome work in our great state. Surely you know a nonprofit, a business, or a person who's elevating our state. We'd like to celebrate them. Go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana so that we can tell their story. Corey Barr is certainly a champion of Louisiana. From Monroe, rose up in the culinary world, got on Food Network star, beat Bobby Flay, comes right back to Monroe and operates his businesses. It's important to be a Louisianian to better his state. Corey Barr is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly...
Week 2 in the prep football season gets started tonight with Louisiana Prep Preview at 6, followed by Catholic High and Warren Easton kicking off at 7, and we wrap up the night with Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care. On YouTube, Your View and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Shout out to Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Looking for dinner this evening? Get on by the drive-thru over there at Cork's. Delicious, clean, fried catfish, crispy, jumbo Gulf shrimp, delicious shoestring fries. If you're one of those people like, I'm from South Louisiana, I'm not going through a drive-thru for seafood, just go once over to Cork's. It is a fantastic product. I mean, it's not just fried seafood. They've got your crawfish etouffee. They'll put it over a baked potato for you with golden fried shrimp. Fantastic. They got pork chops over there at Cork's as well. And as I've been mentioning, they can cater. Maybe it's not your tailgate. Maybe you're not in charge of a tailgate. You're not having a watch party, but you do have an office and you like to feed the office for the day. Cork's can get that done for you as well. Big trays of that fried catfish, fried shrimp. They can handle your catering orders. I promise you that. Love the folks over there at Cork's and appreciate them for bringing you our Friday shows. I was making fun of the fact that Marcus Davenport is on the Vikings injury report this week, and that's not surprising at all. Speaking of not surprising lists, the injury report, Traquan Smith is out for Sunday's game against the Titans. That's about par for the course, isn't it? All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, starting out here. Team USA lost to Germany in the FIBA World Semifinals. Big disappointment. Take it or leave it.
We couldn't guard Dirk?
It wasn't Dirk, actually.
I mean, clearly they got to have Dirk. Who else? Who do they have?
They have Dennis Schroeder. And
Dennis Schroeder?
They have the Wagner brothers. Remember them in Michigan? Mo Wagner and
you gotta be kidding
Franz
me.
Wagner.
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Big disappointment. I'll take it.
Daniel Tyus.
You can't lose to Germany in basketball. I don't care if we got to go to our D team. This is our sport. The Germans with no Dirk? I don't think so. That's grossly. Steve Kerr's the coach?
Yes.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
Get it together.
At SportsCenter, he said he was really proud of the team.
That's a joke. I'm not proud of the team. I'd like to go on the record, Hunt Palmer Show, not proud of the team for losing to Germany in the semifinals of the Worlds. You either win or I'm not proud. That's it.
Yeah. Next one, an American win in a U.S. Open singles title. They have a few chances there, women and men. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think Coco's got a chance.
Yeah.
I don't like. They're not going to be Djokovic.
Shelton, yeah.
Shelton's not going to be Djokovic.
He's
but,
down 4-2 in the first set right now.
Yeah, that's not going to go well. But I'll take Coco. She's certainly got a chance. I think it's great for American. Like we've talked about this a little bit and take it or leave it over the last 2 weeks. Like the decay and decline of American tennis that's happened over the last 20 years is a bummer because I do like tennis, but I would prefer to have some rooting interest in an American person. It's just the way that I consume international sports. I pull for the Americans in golf, certainly in the Olympics. I'm locked in on the Americans, and it's easier for me to pull for an American in tennis. It's not that I have anything against Roger Federer or Novak Djokovic or Roger Nadal or Daniel Medvedev or whoever the case may be. Like they're great players, but I like to have a dog in the hunt, and we just haven't for a long time. So shout out to Shelton for getting to the semis, and I hope he beats Djokovic, but I wouldn't bet on that one.
Sportsbook operator BetMGM reported Friday that the Colorado-Nebraska game has attracted more bets than every remaining NFL game in Week 1. 90% of the bets were on the Buffaloes. Bet on the Buffs. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'm going to leave it. I'm clearly the only person who hasn't just jumped full steam ahead on the Deion train. Louis Riddick went on Get Up this week and said very boldly that Deion Sanders is changing the way that college football teams have to operate because of his success in the transfer portal. What? Are you trying to suggest to me that Mike Norvell doesn't know what the transfer portal is? You think Brian Kelly doesn't know how to operate in the transfer portal?
Well, maybe he just means because the entire team is almost
Mel Tucker did that 3 years ago, and everybody threw a party for him.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Everyone's in the transfer except Dabo. So if Dabo goes in the transfer portal, then you can tell me that maybe Deion affected how Dabo's operating, even though I don't think that's the case. That's just an asinine statement to make that the entire college football landscape has not used the transfer portal and Deion just figured it out. That's absolutely incorrect. But it's just this surface level thing that ESPN does with college football so often when they get Stephen A. Smith talking college football when he's locked into Knicks Clippers all the time. And you got Louis Riddick talking about this when he's more locked in on the Chargers and the Broncos. Everyone uses the transfer portal all the time. You think Lane Kiffin's never heard of the transfer portal? His whole team's from the transfer portal. that irritated me to no end when I heard that Deion Sanders is changing the game. They beat TCU. They didn't beat Bama or Ohio State. They beat TCU at the gun. Let's see what they do this weekend. I bet they win 5 games this year. Like, I'm not ready to throw cold water on the entire Deion era at Colorado. Far from it. I'm fascinated to see where it may go. I'm just not going to bow down to his feet because they beat Texas Christian. I'm well aware they were in the playoff last year. They got by the skin of their teeth every game for 2 months, and they beat Michigan. Good credit to them, but we saw what happened when they got to the final. They're still TCU. Good job, Colorado. Do some more.
All right, Washington State and Oregon State are suing the Pac-12 for control of what is left of the conference, the Pac-2. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave this suit. Like, I guess they're saying, like, don't Kliavkoff, you can't get a TV rights thing together. Everyone left us. It's all your fault. Please don't tell us what to do now. And I guess that's the point of the suit. But it's just sad. This was one point that I made. And it was very clear to provide a caveat to the whole thing. Like, I know it doesn't affect LSU and LSU's going to be fine. Like, this is not a thing that matters in Baton Rouge. But I do feel bad for Joe, Oregon State fan, who is his entire life gone to the stadium and watched him play Stanford and watched him play UCLA and watched him play USC and watched him play meaningful football games and have a chance to go to the Rose Bowl and all that kind of stuff. And now you're going to watch him play San Jose State every weekend. Like, that's sad to me. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with what LSU does, and we're going to be just fine. And I'm playing Texas, and I'm playing Florida, and I'm playing Tennessee and A&M and all that kind of stuff, and it's all well and good. But it does bum me out for them, and I don't blame them for being really upset with George Kliavkoff or whatever his name is for letting the entire conference just die.
All right, last one here. Walker Buehler will not pitch for the Dodgers this year. The team thought they may get him back for the playoffs. The National League belongs to the Cubs. Take it or leave it.
I'll have to refresh the scoreboard to check on that.
Still 0-0.
0-0, yeah, so definitely it does. If we were down today, I might
have
to...
who are the Braves? I mean,
I'm not worried about the Braves. I'm not worried about the Phillies, the Brewers. No, here's the fact. Not a single person is going to watch the Brewers the rest of the season because the Packers start on Sunday, and they don't give a rip about the Brewers after that happens. So that we know. It bums me out that once again the Cubs on a Friday are wearing these horrendous uniforms.
Wrigleyville.
But they are going to win the World Series this year. I really don't believe that the Cubs are going to win the World Series, but I am having fun watching them in September for the first time in quite a few years. So just let me have my fun. I'm enjoying it, and the Dodgers are still really good, and the Braves are a real problem, and the Cubs have to play them to end the season, which is not great either. Hopefully the Braves are in total rest mode by then, but we shall see. That's this edition of Take It or Leave It. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. When we come back, get you a little bit more talk on LSU and Grambling, and then our final pick for the Saints and the Titans. That's all coming up on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5, once again, $5, you're going to get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Week 2 in the prep football season gets started tonight with Louisiana Prep Preview at 6, followed by Catholic High and Warren Easton kicking off at 7, and we wrap up the night with Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care. On YouTube, Your View and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
104.5 ESPN, along with Acura of Baton Rouge, are teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit our website, 1045ESPN.com. Everyone who makes a donation will be entered to win exclusive prizes. Folds of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy. All right, huge weekend here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt's going to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review coming up today. He'll lead directly in to Louisiana Prep Preview. Cade Wassan, cast of thousands. We'll get you ready for Catholic High and the rest of the games across the state of Louisiana. We'll have Catholic High on our airwaves coming up at 7 o'clock. And after Catholic is done, Louisiana Prep Scoreboard will be coming at you, getting you wrapped up on the scores from around the state on this Friday night. Tomorrow, 6:30 kickoff with LSU and Grambling from Tiger Stadium. That means we over here at Guarantee Media get things started up at 1:30 from Rouse's on Burbank and Lee. It'll be Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso with Eagle 98.1 Game Day. They will go 3 hours until 4:30. That's when the LSU Sports Radio Network will take over at 4:30. That's myself, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite from just between the ramps of the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. We'll go 90 minutes from right there. Very much looking forward to that. We'll lead you into the game. Game broadcast 30 minutes after that goes final. Myself, Brandon and Marlon with you on the post-game report on the LSU Sports Radio Network for an hour, and 90 minutes after the game goes final, you will hear from Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon on Eagle 98.1's post-game show. Jimmy Ott's Football Sunday will be 10 to noon from over there at the Queen. So you got a lot over the next 3 days of us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So let's get to our picks. We'll start with LSU and Grambling.
A decision must be made. Is good enough? Or is there more out there?
Are you here for relief? Then let's go.
LSU Tigers.
They feel like they've got something to prove. I think in the game last year, it was a matter of a missed opportunity. So I think the feelings are a little bit different, but you still are coming off of a loss. Everybody is certainly paying attention to the details necessary to be prepared to be their best when their best is needed. And that's going to be this Saturday.
And the Grambling State Tigers.
Yeah, I think we have a good football team, man. And I think that will show itself out, as we go through the year. We just got to get better at some things, clean up some things, and I think we'll be where we need to be.
Now, final pick.
Look, I hope you go out and tailgate tomorrow if you're in Baton Rouge, because we hadn't done that in a while. And I hope you get a bunch of friends together, get the ice chests out, get the food out. Maybe it's corks. And have a good time on campus on Saturday. I'm going to enjoy the pregame show. I'm going to enjoy going inside Tiger Stadium, seeing the band fired up, and watch the Tigers come out of that tunnel, because every time I do that, I like it. And I'm going to enjoy watching LSU play football on Saturday. I'm not going to have a lot of wide, sweeping takes on the postgame show, nor am I going to have a lot of breaking news on Monday's show, because that's not what you're going to draw from this game. This is a good chance for you as an LSU family to get out there and enjoy a day on campus. It's an opportunity to get inside Tiger Stadium. And it's an opportunity to watch the Tigers play with zero stress, because the game's not going to be very competitive. LSU was beating Southern 34-0 in the first quarter last year. It's just the way it goes. We're going to see some of Zalance Hurd out at right tackle. We're going to see the backup quarterback. We'll see where Harold Perkins lines up. And that's kind of the biggest X's and O's things that you're going to take away from LSU and Grambling. I'm okay playing this game one time. Do I need to see it again in the future? Nope. Same thing with Southern last year. It's just kind of the way that it is. But it's a good mental break for the guys after a tough loss. And then you get ready and you go play Southeastern Conference play against Mississippi State. So my final score prediction for Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, 58-0. I think it's going to be an absolute blowout from start to finish. And then we'll come get ready for Southeastern Conference play on Monday. That's my pick for LSU and Grambling. Let's talk Saints and Titans.
New Orleans Saints. Final pick.
This one will be more interesting than Saturday night. And I think it's just a phenomenal test for the black and gold, who have retooled their front via free agency and the draft on defense. And here comes big Derrick Henry, who's going to try to run it at you. I'm not afraid of Ryan Tannehill. I'm not afraid of any of the quarterbacks really on the Saints schedule for the most part. You got a new quarterback. You got a redone dome. You got a new running back and wide receiver that's emerging. The Titans led the NFL in run defense last year. And the Saints offensive line's a question mark. You got to give Derek Carr something up there. You've got to be able to run the football a little bit. You've got Jamal Williams, who gave a good chunk of change, and he's got to get rolling. They don't have to run for 187. You need to run for between 95 and 130 and allow Derek Carr to go to work. And if he does have time and he does have a running game so you can stop Tennessee from getting up the field against potentially, against Trevor Penning at tackle, who hasn't really done this before, Derek Carr will be just fine. That's the point. He'll be just fine. You don't have to worry about him. Defensively, you got to stop the run and get a turnover or two. Saints just struggled mightily last year, historically struggled, trying to get a turnover last year. Tannehill could throw you one. Make that happen. The Dome's going to be raucous. It's going to be full of energy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as I said back at the end of hour number 1, I think the Saints are going to have a really good season this year. Let's keep the injury cart off the field. Let's keep the training staff, sitting off to the side. And the Saints should get off to a good start on Sunday inside the Dome. I think the Titans are pretty good. I don't think they're as good as the Saints, and at home, I trust the black and gold. We may have a different discussion if things don't go so well on Sunday. I think they will. I've got the New Orleans Saints 30-20 on Sunday inside the Dome. I think the Saints get off to a good start, set them up to go on the road in week 2 and face a rookie quarterback, and start this thing off the way that it should start. So that's my pick for the Saints and for the Titans. If you missed any of our show today on demand, you can catch it 1045ESPN.com's on demand tabs, where you can find OTB. It's It's where you can find Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, and AFR. Open the show talking a little LSU and Grambling, my thoughts on potential offensive line shakeups, as well as what LSU's got to do to move the football on the ground. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com talking some Tigers with us at 1:15. Went through the NFL slate at 1:30, and then my Saints thoughts at 1:45. Those you can find on our Saints YouTube channel, Hunt on Saints. We've also got Hunt on LSU. Subscribe to both of those if you will. My SEC picks at 2 o'clock. We had a winning week in week number 1. We got to find a way to get home in week number 2. Come on, Miami. Find some way to beat those folks from College Station. And a big one in Bryant-Denny. We'll see how that goes. I got the horns and the points. Of course, we played Take It or Leave It and had our final picks. We invite you to catch all that on demand, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on Google, as well as on YouTube. I've done all I can do. Looking forward to getting the airwaves on the LSU Sports Radio Network at 4:30 tomorrow, and we're back Monday with the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt's going to drive you home. Catch some high school football tonight. We'll see you Monday. Hunt Palmer Show.